Eid is not merely a festival marked by food, clothes, and gatherings. It is a profound spiritual expression that reflects the core meaning of Islam itself: submission, gratitude, and balance. The word tawakkur comes from the Arabic root, meaning to return, symbolizing the return of joy, mercy, and blessings after a period of worship and struggle. At its heart, Eid is a reminder that true happiness comes from closeness to Allah, not from material display. It is a day when faith becomes visible through smiles, unity, and generosity, where believers collectively acknowledge Allah's mercy and guidance. The spirit of Eid lies in recognizing that joy itself is an act of worship when it is rooted in thankfulness and obedience. It teaches that celebration in Islam is not about excess, but about meaning, connection, and remembrance of the one who granted the blessing of reaching that day. The spirit of Eid also emphasizes equality and unity. On Eid, differences of wealth, status, and background fade as people stand shoulder to shoulder in prayer, dressed simply, repeating the same words of takbir. This shared experience reflects the Islamic principle that honor lies not in possessions but in piety. It revives the sense of belonging to one true one ummah, reminding believers that faith connects hearts beyond borders and cultures. The joy of Eid is incomplete if it is confined to oneself. It is meant to be shared with family, neighbors, and especially those who are struggling. This is why charity and kindness are inseparable from Eid celebrations. The true spirit of Eid is felt when happiness reaches beyond one home and becomes a source of comfort for others, transforming a personal celebration into a collective blessing. It is also deeply tied to the concept of reward after patience and worship. It comes as a divine gift following periods of spiritual effort, such as the fasting of Ramadan or acts of obedience during other sacred times. This timing is not accidental. It teaches that ease follows hardship and joy follows sincerity. Eid serves as reassurance that Allah sees every moment of restraint, every silent dua, and every hidden struggle endured for His sake. The celebration becomes a reflection of Allah's mercy, showing that worship in Islam is not meant to burden the soul endlessly, but to purify it and then allow it to rejoice. It stands as proof that faith is balanced. There is time to strive and there is time to smile, both within the boundaries of obedience. As a reward, Eid is not limited to physical happiness. It is a spiritual relief. After days or weeks of discipline, self-control, and increased awareness of Allah, Eid arrives as a moment of breathing space for the soul. It reassures believers that their efforts were meaningful and accepted, nurturing hope rather than exhaustion. This sense of reward strengthens faith, encouraging consistency rather than burnout. Eid teaches that Allah does not desire hardship for His servants, but growth, purification, and eventual joy. The celebration becomes a reminder that worship is a journey with moments of rest, where gratitude replaces struggle and contentment replaces longing. Beyond the immediate joy, Eid also subtly trains the believer to view life through a lens of purpose. It shows that worldly happiness is most fulfilling when it is connected to spiritual achievement. Eating, dressing well, and meeting loved ones on Eid are all allowed and even encouraged. But they gain depth when they are seen as blessings from Allah rather than sources of pride. This understanding reshapes how joy is experienced, preventing it from turning into heedlessness. Eid thus becomes a lesson in moderation, teaching that celebration is healthiest when it strengthens faith instead of weakening it. The idea of Eid as a reward after patience also instills resilience. It reminds believers that every act of worship, even when difficult, leads to a moment of relief and honor. This mindset extends beyond Eid itself, influencing how hardships in life are approached. Just as Eid follows fasting, ease follows patience, and mercy follows sincerity. In this way, Eid becomes more than a date on the calendar. It becomes a living principle that encourages perseverance, hope, and trust in Allah's promises. Gratitude stands at the very core of Eid, shaping its meaning and guiding the way it is experienced. Eid is not only a celebration of having completed acts of worship, but a moment to acknowledge that the ability to worship itself was a gift from Allah. Gratitude on Eid goes beyond words spoken after prayer. It is a state of the heart that recognizes every blessing seen and unseen. From life and health to faith and guidance, Eid reminds believers that nothing is earned independently of divine mercy. When gratitude becomes the foundation of Eid, a celebration transforms into worship, and joy becomes an expression of thankfulness rather than pride. This perspective protects the heart from arrogance and teaches that true richness lies in recognizing how much one has been given. The practice of gratitude on Eid also nurtures inner peace and contentment. Instead of comparing clothes, meals, or circumstances, a grateful heart focuses on what is present rather than what is missing. Eid then becomes inclusive, allowing joy even for those with limited means. A simple meal, a shared smile, or a quiet prayer can hold deep happiness when gratitude frames the moment. This attitude reflects the Islamic teaching that blessings increase when they are acknowledged with humility. Gratitude on Eid encourages believers to see joy as a trust, not a possession, and to use it in ways that please Allah. It shifts attention from outward display to inward fulfillment, strengthening faith and emotional balance. Humility acts as the natural companion to joy on Eid, ensuring that celebration remains sincere and meaningful. While Eid is a day of happiness, it is not a day of arrogance or self-exaltation. The humility of Eid is seen in remembering Allah frequently, recognizing one's own shortcomings, and acknowledging that success in worship comes only through divine help. This humility prevents joy from becoming excessive or careless. It keeps the believer grounded, aware that Eid is not a personal achievement but a mercy bestowed. By balancing joy with humility, it teaches that happiness does not require superiority over others, but closeness to Allah. This balance also shapes social behavior during Eid. A humble celebration opens the heart to empathy, making space for those who may be grieving, struggling, or lonely. It softens interactions, encouraging kindness instead of judgment and generosity instead of display. Humility reminds believers that everyone experiences Eid differently, and that true celebration lies in easing the hearts of others. Joy expressed with humility becomes contagious, spreading warmth rather than envy. It turns Eid into a source of unity rather than division, reinforcing the idea that faith connects people through compassion, not competition. The pairing of gratitude and humility gives Eid its spiritual depth. Gratitude fills the heart with appreciation, while humility keeps that appreciation sincere and balanced. Together, they create a form of joy that is calm, dignified, and lasting. This kind of joy does not fade when the day ends because it is rooted in faith rather than circumstance. It thus becomes a training ground for emotional and spiritual maturity, teaching believers how to carry happiness without losing awareness of Allah. Through gratitude and humility, Eid sets an example of how to celebrate blessings in a way that strengthens character and deepens faith. Remembering Allah is central to the reality of Eid, shaping the way the day is lived and understood. Eid is not meant to be a pause from faith, but a moment where faith is expressed through joy and remembrance. The takbir recited from the night before Eid and throughout the morning is a powerful declaration that Allah is greater than all things, greater than personal happiness, greater than hardship, and greater than worldly attractions. This remembrance keeps the heart anchored, ensuring that celebration does not drift into heedlessness. By remembering Allah on Eid, believers acknowledge that every joy they experience is a gift from Him, and every moment of happiness is an opportunity to draw closer rather than drift away. The remembrance of Allah on Eid also brings spiritual clarity. It transforms ordinary actions, eating, greeting others, gathering with family, into acts filled with meaning. When the heart remains connected to Allah, joy becomes calm and purposeful rather than restless or excessive. This remembrance protects the believer from losing the spiritual progress gained through worship, reminding them that Eid is not an ending, but a continuation of their relationship with Allah. It teaches that celebration in Islam is not about forgetting one's Lord, but about honoring Him through gratitude, humility, and conscious joy. Eid thus becomes a living reminder that Allah's presence is not limited to times of hardship or worship alone, but extends into moments of ease and happiness as well. The Sunnah way of celebrating Eid provides a balanced and meaningful framework for expressing joy. The Prophet showed that Eid should be celebrated with simplicity, dignity, and kindness, avoiding both negligence and excess. From bathing and wearing clean clothes to attending the Eid prayer, exchanging greetings, the Sunnah emphasizes cleanliness, community, and spiritual awareness. These practices shape Eid into a day that nurtures both the soul and society. By following the Sunnah, believers ensure that their celebration remains aligned with purpose, preserving the sanctity of the day while allowing space for happiness and relaxation. The Sunnah also highlights inclusivity and compassion. Visiting relatives, feeding others, showing kindness to children, and ensuring that no one is left hungry or forgotten are all part of the prophetic example. This approach teaches that Eid is not a private celebration confined to one household, but a shared experience that strengthens bonds and heals divisions. The Sunnah discourages extravagance and competition, guiding believers toward moderation and sincerity. When Eid is celebrated in this way, it becomes a source of blessing rather than distraction, reinforcing values that last beyond the day itself. Together, remembrance of Allah and adherence to the Sunnah give Eid its true beauty. They ensure that joy remains meaningful, gratitude remains sincere, and celebration remains within the boundaries of faith. This balance allows Eid to refresh the heart without weakening spiritual commitment. By remembering Allah and following the prophetic way, Eid becomes not only a joyful occasion, but a continuation of spiritual growth, guiding believers toward a life where faith and happiness walk hand in hand.